got, Rex?
Let's go. I got 10 too.
All right. Matt's way over here. There you go. All right, everybody. Great to see you here. I know we did a little switcheroo on you. Coach Snyder, we did a little, we challenged our membership today. We didn't tell them this was coming. We didn't give them any idea. We just want to see how they reacted to the situation. Changing venues, and you all are here. So proud of you. Nobody lost your composure. Second half adjustments. You're here. Coach, we normally meet in this room next door, but that we didn't give them any heads up, but that you were coming over here. But so glad to have you. This will only happen a couple times throughout the year where we'll make a move over here. But it's a beautiful facility overlooking the river. You can't see this just because of we want to have it dark in here. But it's beautiful facility, the Little Rock Convention and Visitor Bureau overlooking the river. But great job in being here today. It's a beautiful day. Hey, you have some positive things to talk about. We are so fortunate. You know, we've been doing this for 16 years, and many of you have been here along the whole way. When we have people like a Bill Snyder come to speak to us, not easy to get here. Coach will not get back till about 11 o'clock tonight. But he chose to come here, and we're so happy. A legendary person. Not only is he a legendary coach, but he's impacted so many young people and so many other assistant coaches. And there's a great Frank Brules connection here too. So I hope you enjoyed today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Gary, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer first, please?
Absolutely. David, I do need to tell you there are 3 of our guys that are down there doing SWAT training in the other room. You know, so maybe they can protect us when they get done. Good to see everybody. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for a beautiful day and an opportunity to gather together and just enjoy each other's company. Lord, we thank you for the Coach Snyder, the legacy that he is leaving, the impact he's had on so many lives, and just for his willingness to come be with us today. Thank you for the food. Give us strength today to serve you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Gary. I want to remind everybody to mute your phones if you could. You can text everybody and say they can watch Coach speak today on Facebook, our Touchdown Club Facebook page, or our lrtouchdown.com website. Everybody get in easy out front with the light, and we have our Pulaski County Sheriff's folks who will help you get out early as well. So excited to hear Coach Snyder today. Next week, Urban Meyer comes in to speak to the Touchdown Club. And he's been doing, Coach, I don't know if you will give him a thumbs up or thumbs down on his TV work. We know he was a very good football coach. He's been doing work for the Pac-12 Network, and we'll have him here next week. And I hope we have a great crowd for him as well. I do want to thank the Doubletree Hotel for all their work. Jeff and Beth and Brant, outstanding. This is a beautiful facility. We appreciate the switch over. We could do that very easily. Do want to thank our sponsors real quick. Twin City Limousine. Chris Peterson picked up Coach today, so we didn't take advantage of Twin City Limousine. Chris said, Coach doesn't need a limousine. He's happy with me picking him up, and that's the kind of guy he is. But I do want to thank Greg Hatcher and Popeye. And don't you think Greg Hatcher is not a smiling daddy today? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Coach, unbelievable. This young man went to Alabama and played back up to Tua and Hurts. Didn't get a chance to play. Transferred to Arkansas State. Kept working hard. Got a chance to go to Troy and threw 440 yards, 4 touchdowns, and got the big win over Troy. So thank you to Greg Hatcher. Hope he's enjoying that whole experience with his son. And thank you, Twin City Limousine. CGRW, Mark Raines, Dan Sawyer, Darren Gray, thanks for your help. Cliff Harris Award will be coming up soon. We appreciate their help in promoting that. 103.7 The Buzz. Justin Ackery probably was a little bit of heaven today because Justin is an Iowa State grad, and Dan McCarney, who was the head coach at Iowa State, is one of your assistants, longtime assistants. So I know Justin really enjoyed that. We appreciate the Buzz's support. My buddies in the morning appreciate all their help every week. Arkansas Urology, Scott Davis. I didn't know how many people showed up for the free prostrate cleaning. Coach, every once in a while you have a slip. Prostrate screening. Well, young man, one of these days you'll have to be doing this. This is beyond your time. But do want to thank Arkansas Urology for doing that for almost 200 men who came and got that for free. Probably saved some lives. Save some lives going and doing that. We appreciate their support. War Memorial Stadium. I heard there was a great game between Cabot and Catholic this past weekend. Thank you, War Memorial, for the great job you're doing over there, making the old gray lady look spectacular. Farm Bureau Insurance in Pulaski County, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichard, thank you for all you do for our Touchdown Club and for what you do at the high school sports around the state. Make sure and give them a chance to quote any insurance needs you may have. Dairy Queen, Blake Lively, Nelson Lively, Todd Denton. We appreciate their support every year, you guys. Glad to have you guys involved and can't wait to hear you guys keep growing. Obviously, you got your new store open up in Greenbrier very soon. We'll expect at some point you'll deliver us ice cream to us on that day. Also, too, Verizon Arena. So where's Jeremy? Is Jeremy here today? So it is official. Is it official today or is it this week? What day? The 3rd. So can I go ahead and tease it? So, you know, Verizon Arena has been a Verizon Arena for how many years, Jeremy? For 10 years, Alltel before that. But we will work, where are we at? We will be working on changing that to Simmons Bank Arena this week. So let's give it up for Simmons Bank Arena. New signage, new everything. Coach, so exciting to have, nothing against Verizon. Verizon has done a great job, but to have a locally owned company, a bank that's been around since the early 1900s, to put their name on a prestigious arena like we have that seats 18,000. In addition, we have Hart playing Tuesday night, and then there's that. So congratulations to Verizon Arena, soon to be Simmons Bank Arena. Glad to have you guys support the Touchdown Club. Big Red stores, don't forget, almost 40 locations. If you don't have a Big Red reward card, you're losing money. They'll save you every time you get gas. If you're near a Big Red store in your neighborhood, make sure you get the Big Red reward card. You will save money. We appreciate the Hendricks family and what they do for the Touchdown Club. Right, Lindsay and Jennings? Judy, I don't have my glasses on, but I think I see you over there. Yes. I see a Coleman over there, too. I can't see what else. Listen, they keep thinking that Walt is still calling games. They keep tweeting out Walt's still calling games, but they're not, Bob. They're not doing it. So, Charlie, they're not doing it. Do want to thank Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. We couldn't do it without your support. The Cliff Harris Award, I was telling Coach about that today. Could not have done that without Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. They're an excellent law firm, one of the best in the country. Please ask them for any help you may need for any of your litigation issues. They are the best. Crane Automotive, 19 dealerships, 800 employees. You guys are making a difference in the lives of Arkansans, both with what you do and saving folks money on their vehicles and employing folks to work at Crane Automotive. Tell Larry, I hadn't seen Larry in a while, give him our best. But great to see you guys here every week, and appreciate the support that Crane Automotive gives the Touchdown Club. The Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall, as many of you know, is not here today. His mother passed yesterday. His mother was in her, I guess, mid-90s, and Wally was really close to his mom, and so prayers go up to him. And if you want to send him a message today on social media or text him, I'm sure he'd appreciate that. Amanda Copley, thanks for all your work with our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, and we'll announce him shortly. I think this may be the first time, you know, I don't think we'd ever had a Central player since we've been doing this in 5 or 6 years. Is this the first Parkview? It may be the first Parkview honoree we've had. So we appreciate Amanda and Wally and the Democrat Gazette helping us award great performance by our high school players here in Central Arkansas. And last but not least, we couldn't do it without Simmons Bank, founded in 1903. They have branches in 8 states or 9 states, Matt? 8 states. I was telling Coach, $20 billion in assets. Matt Redd and Pat Anderson. Pat's become a regular now. Matt, I'm glad you're in on the mix here. Are here up on head stage, and I was telling Coach, we cannot do what we do every year without Simmons Bank. What an amazing presenting sponsor they are. Please go to them for any banking needs you may have. Let's give all of our great sponsors a round of applause, if you will. Simmons Bank is also the sponsor coach of the Willie Rofe Award. Big Willie is from Pine Bluff and a great Hall of Famer, and we appreciate Simmons' support of them. Do want to thank Matt Johnson, handling production back there in the corner, sort of a new different location for us, Matt Johnson Production. Dwayne Duncan, handling our photography. Thank you, Dwayne. RJ Hawk. RJ is back. RJ, did you guys hear that RJ announced that he's running for state representative? How about that? Let's give it up for RJ Hawk. One of these days, we'll have Governor Hawk down front. And we'll remember when he was handling our social media. You know, now it's the Governor Hawk. But no, first things first. He's got to win the state rep seat. But good luck to RJ Hawk, Hawk Media Solutions. I want to thank Meredith Scott Hale from CareLink. She always does a great job. Samantha Montgomery from the AG office. Thank you, Samantha, for always helping every week. Grant Garrett. Grant, thank you. Great to have you here. Did you get a chance to meet Coach? One outstanding offensive lineman in Razorback history over there, Coach, on the offensive line. Thanks, Grant. And our amazing Touchdown Club volunteer team. that whole group, guys and girls, and Debbie Wyman do it better coached than any touchdown club in America. Let's give it up for all of our volunteers who help every week. All right. At this time, I want to recognize our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. Thomas, you can come on and make your way up. Listen to these stats. He's a senior fullback at Parkview High School. This was 2 weeks ago when they played Rogers. So this final score against Rogers was 84-40. And if that wasn't impressive enough, Coach Snyder, this young man is a fullback, had 12 carries, not many, but he ended up with 251 yards on the 12 carries. So for those of you who are math challenged, that is 21 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns. And then this past week, they beat BB 56-10, which is a 7A school. And it's great to see. Is that 3-1, Coach, that you are now 3-1? You play Maumelle this week. Isn't it great to see Central and Parkview and McClellan competing and playing well again? And that's great, thanks to some coaches. But let's give a Little Rock Touchdown Club welcome to our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. He's a senior fullback, Thomas McCauley. Do want to thank Thomas's parents, Keith and Cherie, for being here today. Proud parents. Keith reminded me I presented him an award back when he was, I think, at junior high school, but I tried to act like I didn't know what he was talking about, so that's okay. And Brad Boulding, Coach, thank you so much for what you do. The Boulding family, Coach Snyder, the Boulding family is one of the greatest coaching families in the history of Arkansas high school football, and Brad has done a great job over at Parkview High School. We appreciate them. And Thomas, good luck for the rest of the year. Keep working hard. All right, I want to remind everybody we have done the ordering for T-shirts, so we're done, I think. For some reason, somebody didn't get one in. You can visit with Debbie about that. This time, it's time for our weekend recap, and everybody should be feeling a little bit better this weekend. A little bit better. Please welcome Rex Nelson, everybody.
It was a busy Saturday, so we're going to dive right in. No time for prostate cleaning or anything. We're diving right into the highlights. I will never let you forget that, ever. As usual, that was a classic, wasn't it? That goes on the all-time Little Rock Touchdown Club blooper reel. And I've had a few myself. As usual, the Southwest Classic was close. Unfortunately, as usual, Texas A&M won. Arkansas moved to the red zone, as you know, late, came up short on 4th down, so it's Texas A&M 31, Arkansas 27 as the Hogs fall to 2-3 overall, 0-2 in the SEC. A&M goes to 3-2 and 1-1. 8th consecutive win in the series for the Aggies. It's open date week for Arkansas. They've got a 13-game SEC losing streak, but 2 weeks to get ready. I'm feeling good about Kentucky, Dave, and got Kentucky. Southwest Classic has been decided by a touchdown or less 5 of the last 6 years. It really hurts to keep losing close games. Arkansas did, in fact, outgain A&M 395-340. Ben Hicks and Nick Starkle combined for 297 passing yards in that game. Rakeem Boyd has 89 of the Hogs' 98 rushing yards. This is the 4th year in a row, unfortunately, for Arkansas to start 0-2 in the SEC. But like I said, 2 weeks to get ready for Kentucky now. Now, David already alluded to it, but how about Little Rock's Lane Hatcher out of Pulaski Academy? I mean, what a night. Give him a hand again. He leads the Red Wolves to a 50-43 win over Troy, and Troy's almost always good in football, on the road. That game had 1,068 yards of offense. You heard me correctly. Over 1,000 yards of offense. So the Red Wolves go to 3-2 overall. More importantly, they're 1-0 in the Sun Belt Conference. Troy falls to 2-2 and 0-1. ASU outgained Troy 558-510. And Hatcher, a redshirt freshman getting his first start, 25 of 35 for 440 yards. And he's the man now with Bonner injured out for the season, so hopefully he'll have a great season the rest of the way as they try to get back on top of the Sun Belt Conference. UAPB's winning streak comes to an end. 31-7 loss to Southern University in a game played at Pine Bluff. And guess who did it to them? A former Pine Bluff High School quarterback. Ladarius Skelton, you may remember that name. He had led Pine Bluff High to a couple of state championships. He now plays down in Baton Rouge for Southern University, ran for 3 TDs in that game, 17 of 25 passing for 157 yards. So UAPB didn't do well, but the star of the game is still an Arkansas high school product as high school football continues to get better and better in this state. Now, there's only one undefeated team left in the Great American Conference, and that's 4-0 Ouachita. The Tigers, Coach, that's spelled O-U-A-C-H-I-T-A. It's kind of the Notre Dame of college football in Arkansas. I'll tell you more later. Tigers did fall behind 2-2 Southwestern Oklahoma, 21-20, with only 11 minutes left in the game out there, but they controlled the ball for 10 of the final 11 minutes, including a 28-yard pass from Braden Brazil to Justin Dean with 7:02 remaining. Ouachita has now won 20 consecutive conference games. That was win number 20 straight. Henderson had come into the Harding game undefeated. They had a great game. Henderson and Harding are now both 3-1. That was a 14-13 Harding victory in Searcy. Cole Chansey carried 38 times, talk about a workhorse, for 166 yards rushing for the Bisons. SAU's also 3-1, 35-14 over 0-4 Arkansas Tech. The game was tied 14-14 with 11:33 remaining. Southern Arkansas scores the final 21 points in that one. UAM falls to 2-2, a 28-0 loss to 2-2 Northwestern Oklahoma. Northwestern intercepted 3 boll weevil passes and limited UAM to 56 passing yards. So, again, there are 12 schools in the conference, 6 from Arkansas, 6 from Oklahoma. Of the Arkansas schools, Ouachita's 4-0, Harding's 3-1, Henderson's 3-1, Southern Arkansas's 3-1, UAM's 2-2, and Tech is 0-4. There is one other undefeated college team in the state, and that's our only Division III team. Let's hear it for Hendrix. They moved to 3-0 following a 34-24 victory at Birmingham Southern. Great running back named Kip Van Hoos ran for 214 yards on 17 carries for the Warriors. And our newest football program in the state and our only NAIA program, Line, is off to a 3-1 start this year. How about the Scots? They're 2-0 in their conference, 53-45 win in Batesville over Texas Wesleyan. Isaiah Bradford, their quarterback, was 14 of 23 passing, 462 yards, 5 touchdowns for the Scots. All right, let's move to the SEC, kind of an abbreviated schedule there on Saturday. Auburn, how about their start? 5-0 overall, 2-0 in conference, a 56-23 rout of Mississippi State. I noticed a certain person from the arena was not here today, by the way, when you were talking about the arena. Michael, our Mississippi State fan, but that was a rout. State falls to 3-2 and 1-1. Freshman Bo Nix had his best game yet for Auburn, 16 of 21, 335 passing yards. Auburn really starting to click now in that hurry-up Gus Malzahn offense. They had 3 touchdowns, get this, on their first 8 plays. 8 plays from scrimmage, and they already had 3 touchdowns. Also 5-0 and 2-0 is Alabama, of course. 59-31 over Ole Miss. Rebels fall to 2-3 overall, 1-1 in the conference. Tua Tagovailoa passed for a school record 6 touchdowns. He rushed for a 7th touchdown against the Rebels. Tua was 26 of 36 passing for 418 yards. South Carolina goes to 2-3 overall, 1-2 in the conference. 24-7 victory over Kentucky. That's why I'm feeling better. Kentucky falls to 2-3. They are 0-3 in the conference. That did snap a 5-game losing streak in the series by the Gamecocks. And Vanderbilt is 1-3. It wins its first game, 24-18 over Northern Illinois. Keyshawn Vaughn rushed for 138 yards for the Commodores. Florida basically had a scrimmage. They're 5-0 following a 38-0 victory over Towson. Kyle Trask, in only his second start at quarterback, remember they lost the quarterback that had started the season, completed 15 consecutive passes to start the game. He finished 18 of 20 for 188 yards. All right, this week we've got Utah State at LSU, Vanderbilt at Ole Miss, Georgia at Tennessee, Troy at Missouri, and the big game, CBS game, Auburn at Florida. Let's do a little poll right quick. How many of you like Auburn to go on the road and win in the Swamp? Wow. How many of you like Florida? Majority Auburn there. We shall see. That should be a fun game. Now, the Hogs, of course, have an open date. ASU's out of state. UCA's out of state. So this is a great chance to see some of these other college programs. We've got Lane at UAPB, and then all 6 of our GAC teams are home against Oklahoma teams. You've got Southeastern Oklahoma at Ouachita, Southern Nazarene at Harding, Southwestern Oklahoma at Southern Arkansas, Oklahoma Baptist at Arkansas Tech, Northwestern Oklahoma at Henderson, East Central Oklahoma at UAM. Hendrix is home, our Division III team against Rhodes. Lyon is home, our NAIA team against Langston. So 9 college football games in the state on Saturday. Games at Pine Bluff, 2 at Arkadelphia, Searcy, Magnolia, Russellville, Monticello, Conway, Batesville. You know what that means. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Good job, Rex. Well done. Pat, you said UAPB's homecoming this weekend. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Rex. Appreciate that. I know it's always great to have the Razorback Foundation folks represented here, Colin Prim. And I did want to mention, did anybody see the high-profile article on Micah Strother? Let's give it up for Micah. She's one of our regular Touchdown Club members. Outstanding, Micah. What a great piece. I know you're proud of that. Also wanted to mention, where's looking? Sully, turn around, wave at everybody. So here's the deal. So our buddy Sully does so much for everybody else. I want to remind everybody that October 10th, over at Dickey Stevens Field, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, they usually always have these roasts. I was roast a few years ago, and Tommy and Nolan and everybody. But Sully didn't want to do a roast, so Sully's going to have a tailgate party the evening of October 10th. You can wear whatever team jersey you want to. It's only $75 a ticket. He's got a lot of things in mind for having some fun. So it's called the Big Brothers, Big Sister of Central Arkansas, Defenders of Potential. And so Defenders of Potential, which I think is really a unique story. So let's get out and support Sully for all he does for so many people in the community. That's October 10th, about 5 or 6 o'clock, I think, that night, 6 to 8. Also want to welcome a couple other guests. Our State Treasurer, Dennis Milligan. Dennis, where are you at? Please stand. Let's give it up. Welcome to the State Treasurer. Also, somebody who was super influential in getting Coach Snyder here, and the reason why is because he was in the athletic department when Coach Snyder coached at Kansas State. He was actually in the interview where Coach Snyder was interviewed to become the head coach at Kansas State. He's former ULR athletic director, and you can see him on the sidelines of Pulaski Academy out there coaching them up. But I do want to thank him for all his hard work. He's here with his wife, Tracy, at the head stage. Chris Peterson and Tracy Peterson, everybody. Chris has bragged on you, Coach, for so long. And it was so, when we made the connection, I said, can we try to get Coach here? And he was very helpful, and Chris is a great guy, and he and Tracy are a great couple. I know you feel the same about them. Also, too, is, you guys know I don't make any money off the Touchdown Club. Never have, never will. And so that affords me the opportunity to do some things I want to do when I want to do them. So a couple years ago, I brought in a big birthday cake for a very special person. And so she did not want that this year, but I have to show a couple pictures. So this is my mom. Coach, this is back when mustaches were cool, back in the 80s. Burt Reynolds and Tom Selleck were still happening guys. So that's my mom, and one other picture, if you could, Matt, just to show maybe so that's my mom as a little girl, and then as the homecoming queen in high school, and that's her. And she's an ambassador. She's moved to Little Rock. Everybody in here knows her. So today is her birthday. And so she wanted no cake, but unbeknownst to me, Debbie Wyman has gotten her a cake. So what we're going to do, Debbie, is here's the mother, stand up so everybody can be seated. So what we're going to do real quick, is, Mother, I don't know if you know this, today is your birthday. I'm not going to say, oh, look at there comes Brent with the birthday cake. But what we're going to do, everybody, Coach Snyder's birthday is just a few days away, and he turns 80 on October 7th. So this birthday song is for Coach Snyder and my mother, Carolyn. Let's sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carolyn and Coach Snyder. Happy birthday to you. Let's give it up for my mom and Coach Snyder. Now, Mother, we don't have to eat that cake today. We can give that to Coach Snyder on the way back to Manhattan. My mother and I are working hard to drop some pounds. I'm just saying. Coach, I pounded this podium a few weeks ago and said I was going to lose 25 pounds by November. I got a long way to go. You know, I go to all the Razorbacks game every week, and it's tough to eat good on the road on the weekend, but I'm not giving up. All right, so it is such an amazing honor to have Coach Snyder here today. You know, we've had some of the legendary, we've had numerous Hall of Fame coaches, and I consider us blessed to have the opportunity to hear him speak today. And Steve Sullivan has put together a great introduction. So, Matt, let's turn our attention to the screen and hear an introduction on the great Bill Snyder.
Today's speaker is the author of one of college football's most unlikely success stories. How bad were things at K-State when Bill Snyder took over? Sports Illustrated had dubbed the program Futility U. They were in the midst of a 27-game winless streak and had managed just 4 winning seasons in the previous 52.
It's a tremendous challenge here, and I think this has the opportunity for the greatest turnaround in college football exist here today.
Bill Snyder recorded the first of 8 straight seasons of 9 wins or more in 1993. During that run, they cracked the top 10 5 times and won 4 bowl games. Coach Snyder walked away from coaching in 2005, already a K-State legend. He returned to coaching in 2009 and became only one of a few coaches to coach in a stadium that was named for him. His second stretch as a Cats leader was highlighted by a second Big 12 championship in 2012. During that season, his Wildcats had the #1 ranking in the BCS standings. His accolades include National Coach of the Year awards in 3 seasons. His teams won 4 Big 12 North titles and 2 Big 12 championships. Barry Switzer may have put it best when he once stated that Bill Snyder isn't the Coach of the Year or the Coach of the Decade. He's the Coach of the Century. Please welcome a college football coaching treasure, Hall of Fame Coach Bill Snyder.
All right, let's see. The mic on, speaking that, Coach, and see if it's on there.
Can you hear me out there? That work?
Great. Coach, welcome to Arkansas. Great to have you.
Well, I'm loving Arkansas. I haven't been here very long today, but everybody I've met has been so very, very gracious and very welcoming, and I appreciate it a great deal. I've always admired Arkansas from a athletic standpoint, a football standpoint, but what you get to know when you're in an environment like this is what the people are really all about. And to me, that's what it's all about, the people, and been very gracious to me. I appreciate it a great deal.
Thanks, Coach. By the way, is the mic okay? We're okay with that? Does it sound okay? Do I need to switch mics? Here, I tell you what, Coach, we're going to switch mics. All right. Check, 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 check. All right, Coach, you know, it's amazing. So I hate to bring this up right off the bat, but Coach said he'd never been to Arkansas, but you do have 2 times in your coaching career, magnificent coaching career, that you did get a chance to coach against Arkansas. 2011, and that was the Cotton Bowl against Bobby Petrino and the Razorbacks. In 2015, Brett Bielema in the Liberty Bowl. What are your memories of those 2 games, Coach?
We lost them both.
You did. You don't lose often, so any memories about those 2 games?
Well, I try to forget those the best I possibly can, but I think in both instances, Arkansas was a tremendous football team. I'm very well coached in both instances. Outplayed us, quite obviously, but was very a very productive, in both cases, very productive football teams. Good with special teams, good with defense, and played offense well enough to get enough points on the board to win. But good teams.
We haven't made this announcement yet, so I'm going to announce it here. We're going to do a national release a little bit later. But I asked Coach Snyder if he would agree to be on the Broyles Award Selection Committee, and he said yes. So he'll be voting on it. We want to thank him for that. I know the Broyles family is very appreciative, Coach, because when you think about this, listen to this. His assistants that have went on to win the Broyles Award, Brent Venables, Mark Mangino, a finalist, Jim Levitt, who we had here not long ago, and your son Sean was a nominee a few years ago. And so, nobody better than for you to be on that Broyles Award Selection Committee. And I know you didn't get a chance to be around Coach Broyles very much, but what are your thoughts about Coach Broyles and his impact on the game and the kind of person he was?
Well, when you're a football coach and have been one for as long as I have, over 50 years. I've been at Kansas State University for 30 years. I was with Hayden Fry for 10 years at the University of Iowa, and I think 3 years at North Texas State. Hayden had been with Frank Broyles and had an amazing amount of respect for the man. He introduced me to Frank. I had a great appreciation for all the things that Hayden shared with me about Coach Broyles. I have a great deal of respect for him, great deal of admiration for him. Really a special person as it relates to the entirety of college football throughout our country. So it's an honor, certainly an honor to be involved with that committee.
Of course, this trophy is actually right here, Coach. We'll make sure and get you a picture with this trophy right after. Matt, if you could, punch up Coach Hayden Fry's picture up there. One of the things I was telling Coach that Coach Fry, he's not in the best of health right now, but for many, many years he has been on the – we used to do the Broyles Award by phone call. And we get Darrell Royal and Bo Schembechler and Vince Dooley and Hayden Fry all together. And you could just tell what a class act he was. And so, a couple things here just want to remind everybody is that coaches, which we'll mention in just a minute, Coach Snyder's coaching tree is really amazing. But the reality is, because of Hayden Fry, he is part of Coach Broyles' coaching tree. Because Hayden Fry obviously was under Coach Broyles and went on to coach at SMU. So I asked you, of course, most people know Coach Fry from, Iowa, but I guess he was at North Texas, he was at SMU. What made Coach Fry such a successful and great coach?
Well, I think so many things. He was a people person, and he was open and had a pleasurable approach to visiting with people, regardless of who they happened to be. He took time for not just football itself, but for the community of Iowa City, the community of Denton, Texas, where I was. I'm sure it was that way. I wasn't with him at SMU, but I'm sure it was that way in Dallas. But he's just, if you didn't know who he was, you would still have great admiration for him just because of the way he interacted with people. He was a brilliant mind as it relates to football. He loved to be creative. He was a very creative football coach, and he liked to do new and different things, just for the value of doing new and different things. Whether they worked or not didn't make any difference to him. He just loved to do them. But a special man still is having some health problems. Had moved from Iowa City to Nevada. Just about 90 miles from Las Vegas. Loved to gamble, by the way, so that was the right place for him. That was kind of his nature on the football field as well. Was a great gambler, but he is back in Dallas now. He has his children live in the area, and he and his wife are in just outside of Dallas, Texas. Great man.
Coach, I have to show this picture. This is from 1983. I want everybody to look up here. Now, you won't know who everybody is, but in this picture, this is Hayden Fry's staff in 1983. Many consider this one of the greatest college football staffs of all time. Let me read you the names if you don't recognize those young faces up there. A guy by the name of Bob Stoops went on to win a national championship at Oklahoma. Barry Alvarez, one of the greatest coaches in the history of Wisconsin. Kirk Ferentz at Iowa is in that picture. Dan McCarney, Iowa State, and Bill Snyder, Kansas State, all on that same staff in 1983. What do you remember about that group of assistant coaches with yourself and with Hayden being the head coach?
Well, wonderful people, not just great football coaches, but wonderful people. And one of the individuals that's in that picture is a fellow by the name of Bill Brazier. And Bill was our defensive coordinator and defensive secondary coach. And truth be known, was probably the best coach of all of us, and never did move on to become a head football coach. He was he loved. He was with us at North Texas. Went with us to Iowa. He loved Iowa City. Bill and his wife still live in Iowa City. He's retired, but. Collectively, truly a wonderful staff, but more than just quality football coaches. I mean, tremendous people, very quality people.
Do you have any idea when you're on that staff and you go to work every day, do you look around and going, well, that guy's going to turn out to be a head coach? Is that crossing your mind that, hey, bet that guy goes on to win a national championship? Or does that you just grinding every day and that never crosses your mind about where this group might end up?
Yeah, I don't think we ever thought about that. I can't speak for everybody, but I certainly didn't. It was just I enjoyed going to work for a lot of different reasons, but the major one was because of the people I was around.
In addition to, so later on, so after he's on the staff of Hayden Fry in that group, you go on to become a head coach, and you have some other great assistants. So, of course, Bob Stoops becomes an assistant. Mike Stoops, Brett Bielema. Brett Bielema is on the staff. So I text Brett today, just to let him know. I sent him a picture of Coach sitting there talking. I said, look who's speaking at the Touchdown Club. And this is what Brett Bielema had to say about Bill Snyder. A very special man. He influenced me and many others, taught me to leave no stone unturned and to go back and turn them all over again. Many would believe your work is done, but it wasn't with you. There was always more work to be done. Greatest turnaround in the college football history at K-State. So that's what Brett Bielema said about you. So how is it for you as a head coach watching some of your assistants like Bob Stoops or Mike Stoops as they fight and claw to try to win, and even Brett Bielema, difficult to watch him succeed at Wisconsin and maybe not succeed at Arkansas?
Well, it's joyful for me. I mean, because I have a tremendous understanding that they're all, quality football coaches, very deserving of successes that they've had. Excuse me, but they are, once again, quality gentlemen, quality people, quality family people. And people that genuinely care about the youth that they work with, and that makes me feel very very proud, so to speak. But all wonderful guys.
I was talking with Coach Snyder about playing for Lou Holtz and playing for Ken Hatfield, and about how coaches are different. Some are different in their styles. Coach comes across as a very mild-mannered man. Would you not agree? So you wonder, what is his coaching style? And you're looking at, and I mentioned this on the Buzz this morning, Coach. There are only 3 coaches in the history of college football, 150 years, only 3 that have been inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame while they're still coaching. One of them sitting right next to me today. The other 2 are Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno. So, yeah, which is amazing, amazing statistic. To put things in perspective, Brett Bielema, many have called it the Manhattan Miracle, the greatest turnaround in the history of college football. To put things in perspective, since World War II, before Coach Snyder came along, they had, I think it was 1 winning season, 4 winning seasons since the mid-40s and 1 bowl game. Since mid-1940s. So, Coach, I want to ask you, some would say, how in the world did you do it? And before we get to football, I read about the history of you with your mom and the respect you had of your mom and the work ethic that she taught you. So share with our group a little bit about that and how you were raised and how that influenced you.
But I was blessed, as so many of us are, to be raised by an amazing, amazing woman. The greatest influence on my life, and I've been around for a lot of years, it was my mother. And my father left the home when I was, I think about 5 years old. I was an only child, so my mother raised me. From that time on, we moved back to my mother's hometown, St. Joseph, Missouri, and my mother took a job as a clerk at a department store called Townsend, Wyatt and Wall, and she didn't have enough money to have an automobile. So we moved to a one-room apartment in downtown St. Joseph, Missouri, and that's where I was raised. And when I say a one-room apartment, it's not one bedroom we're talking about. I'm talking about one-room apartment. Everything was in that one room with the exception of the bathroom. My bed was a Murphy bed. Some of you too young to know what that is, and so it came out of the wall. My mother's bed was a cot that we kept on the landing outside the apartment door, and I would bring it in every night and unfold it, and so that was our living room, that was our bedroom, that was the whole thing. My mother never drove an automobile in her life, never had a driver's license in her life because she couldn't afford to have an automobile, saved all of her money so she could send me to college. I was being an only child. She had those concerns about, what kind of a young person would I grow up to be? Would I stay out of trouble? And she made sure. We had a YMCA that was six blocks from our apartment. She made sure that I was invested in the YMCA, and I would go after school every single day until I got into high school. And she went to the YMCA, and she got everybody at the YMCA together. She was a dynamic woman, and she made them promise that if I was ever late or didn't show up after school, that they were to get a hold of her, and she would make sure that I was there in a heartbeat, which she certainly did. My mother was 4'9" tall, never ever weighed 100 pounds in her life. And when she said, "Don't go out that door," I didn't go out that door. She was an amazing woman, but she had a heart of gold. She saved all of her money so that I could go to college, and I was blessed. I had some capabilities in athletics. I played all sports. I was a competitive swimmer and played football, basketball, baseball, track, anything and everything. She guided me to do exactly that, to keep me busy, I think, as much as anything. But I wanted to go. I wasn't good enough to earn a scholarship anywhere. I wanted to go to the University of Missouri. And my mother saved money. She sent me to the University of Missouri. I tried out for the football team. Dan Devine was the football coach at the time. They had freshmen. In those days, they had freshman football as well as varsity. And I was the 8th team quarterback. That's on the freshman team alone. And I did poorly in school. And so after the first semester, I went back to St. Joe and went to the community college, a junior college there. And I felt guilty that my mother was spending that kind of money to put me in a position to fail and waste her money. And a fellow by the name of Norris Patterson came to see me, was the athletic director and head football coach at William Jewell College, and invited me to come to William Jewell, which was Liberty, Missouri, which was about 50 miles away from my hometown, St. Joe. And I said to him, I cannot do this because I'm not going to waste my mother's money. They were a non-scholarship school, so again, I was going to have to pay my own way. And I said, I can't do that, Coach Patterson, because again, I have to pay my own way. And he said, well, we can provide you with some opportunities to work, to earn your way. He got me 2 jobs, and during the entirety of my career at William Jewell College, I worked 2 jobs to make sure that my mother didn't have to pay a cent for my college education. Graduated in 4 years. And I have been, I've going on too long here, but I've been blessed, in my lifetime to be around amazing, wonderful people. And I've always sought out people who, can make my life better, people who genuinely care. And my mother leads the list, and she was such a very, very special woman. And anything that I have ever done that's worthwhile is because of my mother. Very special.
Coach, thanks for sharing that. I know, I think I read where oftentimes she would leave before you were awake and wouldn't get back till, after you were asleep. And so, wow, what a great work ethic model to see. And you obviously took that work ethic and went on. His first graduate assistant job was under the great John McKay at USC back, I think, in 1966. Then you go into high school coaching and coach swimming at the same time. And then end up with the great Hayden Fry, I believe, North Texas, followed him to Iowa. And then you had the opportunity to coach at Kansas State. So, Chris, we talked about Chris being in that interview. Going back, and I know it's got to be hard to remember. You've had such a great career, but what do you remember? I told him, I compared him to what he's done, what he did at Kansas State, what Coach Broyles did for Arkansas. A lot of people thought, can Arkansas ever do what, can compete on the national level? You don't have a lot of recruits, you don't have a lot of resources. And Coach, you saw apparently the same potential at Kansas State. What did you see? And talk about that going back. What was it that gravitated you to taking that job at Kansas State or wanting that job?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't take it for the reason that most people would think. I believe in people. And I went to Kansas State University because of the people. Steve Miller had called me, a number of other people had called, asking me to come and interview for the position at Kansas State University. And I told Steve that I couldn't do it. We were still in our season at Iowa, and I didn't want to be disruptive to our program at the University of Iowa. And Steve continued to call back, and then he and Chris came to our home in Iowa City with the same thoughts in mind, and I still shared exactly the same thing. I couldn't do that. Eventually, long story short, excuse me, got a call from Steve, and he said, "You can have the job. If you would just come after your season is over and visit with our people to see if it's something that you would want to do." And I had never applied for a job in my life after I got into college coaching. And I wasn't sure that I was very happy at the University of Iowa. University of Iowa, wonderful people there as well. And I just wasn't sure that I was interested. But when I went to, part of the story, and I don't know if Chris even knows this, when I went to Iowa, or went to Manhattan after our season at Iowa, I met in where our basketball, we had just built a new basketball arena there, and they had a gorgeous room called the Legends Room, and so we met there, and there were all kinds of people. The president was there of our university, a lot of athletic department people, coaches, athletic administration, students, just a vast number of people, and everybody was saying nice things, and I appreciated that, and there wasn't any reason not to trust what was being said, but by the same token, they were there to try to convince me to accept a job at Kansas State University. I told our president, John Weefald, I said, Dr. Weefald, would you have someone take me on to the Kansas State campus and let me out and leave me on the campus for an hour and come back and get me? And he said, why do you want to do that? And I said, I just want to go on the campus. And he said, okay, fine, and he did. And I got out, and it's late November, and it's cold, snow's on the ground, And you would think, pardon me, you would think that people would be in a hurry to get out of the cold and get into warmer climate. And I visited in that hour's period of time with somewhere maybe 60 or 70 people. And nobody got in a hurry. Everybody was very gracious. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't know them. They didn't know why I was there. I didn't tell them. And I asked questions about the university, about the community, about the student body, about the faculty, about the athletic department, about the football program, anything and everything that I could think of. After an hour, a young lady came, picked me up, took me back to Bramlage where the meeting was. And I said to Dr. Weefall at the time, I said, I need to go visit with my family, but I think I would be interested. And at the end of the day, I was. And that was the reason. It wasn't because of football. I think the one thing that, I say so many things about Kansas State University at the time was the only football program in the history of college football to lose 500 games. There wasn't a player in the program that had ever participated in a football game at Kansas State in which they had won. We had 47 players on scholarship. That's when you could have 95. It was the lowest scholarship count in the history of college football. Record still stands. It couldn't have been because of football. And again, I'm saying too much here, but at the end of the first year, we won one game. Every single individual that I had known in the coaching profession called me and said, you'd better get out of there now, or you're going to be an insurance salesman in a month. Nothing wrong with insurance salesmen, don't get me wrong. But I said at the time, I was never more convinced that Kansas State University could be a successful program. And the reason was, and I shared this a little bit earlier, I think, on the radio station, before the season began, I took all of our players out on the field, and I had the scoreboard lit up. And in those days, that was a pretty hard task because there wasn't enough money to pay the electric bill. And I said, at the end of the season, I will not assess you based on what's on the scoreboard, but I will assess you on your commitment to becoming better people, better students, and better football players every single day that you're in this program. And at the end of the season, that's what I based my assessment on, was the fact that those young people did make that commitment and tried very diligently and very hard to get better and better. I tell you, the last thing, yesterday I went to a funeral. A young man that was in that group passed away. The funeral was in Topeka, Kansas. The young man had two children, one a junior in high school, one a freshman in high school. They were left without a father. At a reception that was held in the afternoon yesterday, it was promoted and organized by his ex-teammates. They formed a foundation. They were called the Foundation in our program. In our indoor facility that we built when none of them were there, there's a wall that has a brick for each one with their names on it. They were the foundation of Kansas State football. They formed a foundation to adopt the two children of this young man that passed away and made a commitment to raise those children. That's pretty special. That's the kind of young people that we had.
Well, just so you know, if you don't know the rest of the story, Coach goes on 17 years. That first, if I'm not mistaken, you go 1-10 that first year. You go 5-6 the second year, 2-5 in conference. Bump up a little bit. Go back down the fourth year to 5-6 again, 2-5. And then I think the next year, the fifth year, you have a 9-win season. And then he proceeds to win 11 games in 6 of 7 years. 11 games in 6 of 7 years at Kansas State. And that's why many consider it the greatest turnaround in college football history. You do an amazing job for 17 years, put that program on the map, Coach. Retire. Another coach comes in, program sort of, goes down a little bit from where you had it. You decide to come back. So for those that don't know, what prompted you at this point? You'd already achieved it. You'd already done what you needed to do. What made you want to come back and try to help the program get back again? Was once not enough?
Well, once again, it was for the same reason. It wasn't because of football. It was about the people. And there were so many people, Kansas State people, community people, university people, all across the country who were in touch with me and asked me to do exactly that. It took me about 4 months to make the decision to do that. I had just gotten accustomed or acclimated to not coaching, and I was beginning to feel comfortable not doing it. And so I didn't feel that need to get back into coaching. And again, I'm 69 years old at the time, I think. And who wants a 69-year-old football coach? That I don't know. But nevertheless, the people did. And so I accepted the return. And when I did, I made that statement once again publicly that I came back not because of football, but I came back because of the people. And people there have been extremely special to me and to my family. We have 5 children. All 5 of them have gone through Kansas State University. We have 9 grandchildren, and every one of college age has gone through Kansas State University. I've had many, for whatever reason, many opportunities to move on. I was asked again by the radio station out here. I still have. I'm a pack rat. I save everything that I ever had to the discern of my wife. But I have a number of NFL contracts that I was offered, head coaching jobs. I never interviewed for a job during my time at Kansas State University for college job or NFL job whatsoever, but they had ample opportunities. But I wanted to be at Kansas State University, and once again, it was just strictly because of the people that were there.
Oftentimes, it's been discussed about Arkansas, since we have so many Razorback fans and supporters that don't have enough D1 players in the state. They're producing D1 scholarship players, small population, not economically strong. Can this program get back to where it needs to get playing in the SEC? What are your observations on that?
Well, I'm confident that it can. I'm confident that you will. I think you have good people come, through the program. The question is somewhat leading as it relates to recruiting and, where can you find the right individuals. I'm a strong believer. Now, I'm probably in a minority in this regard, but I believe in quality young men with great character, a great value system, create the foundation for a successful athletic team and a successful football team. And I think we proved that. We've Kansas. I mean, whoever thought of going to Kansas to recruit a player? Very few people would come into the state of Kansas to recruit somebody. I liked Kansas youngsters in our program because they were Kansas youngsters. I'm a big believer. I was raised in the Midwest. I'm a big believer of the Midwest. You're a Midwestern state, in my eyes. And the quality of character that is significant and important in your lives is equally important in the lives of young people. And to me, you think, I've been introduced, in fact, one over here at the table, young people that, have become highly successful. And again, why? Character. The kind of person that you are, and then certainly, there's hard work and discipline and responsibility and accountability and all those things that go into it, but that's a value system. That's a value system. And to me, and again, I'm sure I don't stand alone, but maybe a lot of people don't necessarily see it that way. But to me, I think that gives you the kind of foundation that is needed to become highly successful, consistently highly successful. And I'm confident that it'll happen here.
Coach, if you combine, just to let you know, you could take the winning records, the wins of every coach at Kansas since 1928, and could add them up together. They still don't match the win total of this gentleman sitting right next to me. How amazing is that? I believe it's 215 wins. Yeah, it's worth a round of applause there. The story on you, Coach, nobody outworks you. You learned that from your mom. I read where you don't take lunch because you can work during lunch, and you thought, well, might as well do that at dinner too. You can work during dinner too. So we've heard that from Chris and Coach Bielema and everybody, that nobody outworks you. But a story that Jessica and I saw on CBS Sunday Morning a few years ago, and I tried to find it. I looked for several hours yesterday, was about your appreciation and admiration and affinity for Geppetto and Pinocchio. And I wanted to find it. I could not find it anywhere. So I wanted you to share. You share with it. What was it about, and what's the story behind Geppetto?
Well, I shared this with David a little while ago when we were visiting, but when I was very young, was when the movie Pinocchio came out. I mean, it's been an awful long time ago, far longer than most of you are old. And I remember seeing the movie, and I remembered what it was about, and I remember about Geppetto being an individual that cared about this ornery brat Pinocchio and wanted to help make him a better person. And so, the movie came and went like most of them. You don't hear about it anymore. When I went to Kansas State University in 1989, shortly after that, the movie kind of resurfaced. And they put, at that time it was videotape. We didn't have CDs and DVDs and all that, but they put the movie on videotape and they sold it in stores. And I went to every store in Manhattan, Kansas, and bought every single copy of it, gave all my children a copy, saved copies for my grandchildren. I was just guessing at the time how many, and consequently with great-grandchildren I didn't save enough. But I can always copy them and have, and gave the rest. I bought maybe, I don't know, 40 copies or so, and gave the rest to children that I came in touch with there in Manhattan, Kansas. And the reason being was exactly the same thing. I had that great appreciation for someone who genuinely cared about a young person and genuinely wanted to help guide that young person from wrong to right, and to make his life right, and to make his life better, and certainly did that. And the sacrifices that he made to do exactly that really sent a special message. And I wanted my children to be able to experience seeing that, to realize, that their time was going to come where they would have the opportunity to be that kind of a person for others, and so on down the road. But that was the extent of, and I was telling David, a while ago, people, learned about my affection for Geppetto and for the movie Pinocchio. People have sent me, I have enough to fill a quarter of this room with Pinocchio and Geppetto paraphernalia. I've got pictures and photos and statues and all kinds of it. But I keep it all. So.
Coach, before we let you go, so I just want to make sure, we got you here live. You're going out all over the world on Facebook and our website. Will Bill Snyder coach again? Are you done for sure? You got another run in you? You're ready to cut? You're done for sure. What do you say?
Well, I'll be 80 years old October the 7th. That ought to tell you.
Well, Coach, listen, I think you'll all agree what an amazing Hall of Fame coach, what an amazing job he did, greatest turnaround in the history of college football, but even a better man. Let's give it up for Bill Snyder, everybody. Coach Bill Snyder.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week with Urban Meyer. Thanks, everybody. We'll get you right here just some pictures if you don't mind.
David, we just
You betcha, you betcha. Today's the guy. I'll talk to you. Very good. Coach, I'm going to catch you with the flags.